Good afternoon and welcome to our August Town of Islip Town Board meeting on this absolutely gorgeous summer day. And you guys are here. Holy cow. We'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand. And I would ask our town controller, Joe Ludwig, to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, he's going to kill me. Thank you so much, Joe. Busy time for the controller and his department as we're preparing budgets for next year. This afternoon, we are just so very proud to be able to recognize 5 dedicated individuals whose quick thinking and immediate action heroically saved 4 lives from a house fire earlier this summer. And I would ask the members of the town board if you would please come join me as we recognize them. On Sunday, July 17th, around 11 in the morning, ISLIP Terrace, ISLIP, and East ISLIP volunteer firefighters responded to an emergency call from a young woman who was trapped in the basement level of a home that had caught on fire with her 3 dogs. Swiftly moving into action, ISLIP Terrace firefighters Matthew Arthurs, Danny Balsucci, were able to break into the basement through a window and safely pull the trapped woman from the blaze. During the rescue operation, First Assistant Chief of the Islip Fire Department and off-duty Suffolk County Police Department Officer Jared Gunst, First Assistant Chief of the Islip Fire Department Alden Schroeder, and East Islip Fire Department firefighter and one of our own Town of Islip employee Michael Hand were able to locate the woman's 3 dogs and bring them to safety. Chief Gunst, who serves on Suffolk County PD's Medical Crisis Action Team, had recently underwent medical training to assist police canines in distress and was able to provide the rescued dogs with advanced medical support before they were safely transported to Veterinary Medical Center of Long Island in West Islip. Thanks to these 5 dedicated men, all 4 lives were saved. So I'd ask these gentlemen if they'd please join us at the podium, Jared, Alden, Michael, Matthew, and Danny, and accept a sincere thank you from all of us at the town for your exemplary deeds and for your continued bravery and dedication to safeguard the well-being of all in our community, 4-legged companions included. You truly are heroes, and we thank you so very, very much. Please come forward. So moving on, it's hard to believe, but we're here already in August, and there's still so many exciting developments to look forward to in the town. First of all, we are so, I want to recognize a young man who is helping out as an intern with our photographer, Dan Goodrich, who is a Newsday and many other award-winning former photographer, but working here with us in the town of ISLIP, and loves the opportunity to mentor young people. And right now, he's mentoring Sam Hasfell, who's a student at Brentwood High School, who I've met in our travels many, many times. Very involved with the Police Explorer post at the 3rd Precinct. Also with, it seems like every time I turn around, he is doing something else for the community. And just this past Saturday, I saw Sam at Brightwater's ambulance. He's a volunteer there also, and he's here helping out Dan. So welcome and thank you. We really appreciate your efforts, Sam. So we are so very proud to announce that Moody's Analytics has once again reaffirmed the town's AAA bond rating for the 7th consecutive time. Yes, 7 times. The town's rating was upgraded to AAA during my first full term in office in March of 2016. And with the assistance and cooperation of the town board, we have been able to maintain our strong AAA rating even during times of high inflation and the pandemic. The AAA bond rating is the highest that can be assigned to a municipality. And please understand that we all, every single member of the town board, we remain committed to working closely with our commissioners to make certain that each and every taxpayer dollar spent is done with the utmost scrutiny. And this really does help when the rating agencies come in and look at your entire operation, and they really are very thorough in doing so. So to the members of the town board, to our controller, Joe Ludwig, and his team, and the commissioners who helped get us there, we really want to say thank you. We're also pleased to announce that funding has now been completed to move forward with the Central ISLIP Downtown Revitalization Initiative, that's the DRI. Thanks to a grant secured recently by Congressman Andrew Garbarino, the town will receive the remaining $3 million to install the new sewer connection for downtown Central Islip. This connection will allow for the development of a more diversified range of businesses and provide the capability to attract the type of businesses that the sewer connectivity will enable them to be successful. This connection is essential to the revitalization success, and this goes back to 2016 when we began the process of applying for that $10 million grant. It took us 3 strikes at the apple to be successful, and we finally were successful in securing that $10 million for downtown CI. But of course, COVID hit, so that created a little bit of a delay, but we are finally moving forward. This will bring much needed revitalization to the community. And 1 or 2 more announcements. Our Youth Bureau's Back to School Drive is now underway. We have 3 drop-off locations, one in the east end of town at Councilwoman Mullins' office, at the Jacob Ocker's house in Oakdale, one at Town Hall West, and right here on Main Street in Islip. Please consider donating and help the children of our community enjoy a successful school year. And lastly, in recognition of Recovery Awareness Month, ISLIP Goes Purple will return Thursday, September 1st with a kickoff color fun run right here at Town Hall. And this initiative, ISLIP Goes Purple, was something we heard about that happened down in Maryland, and a member of our opioid and drug abuse task force brought it to the group, and we initiated it about 3 years ago. This will be our 4th year. And other towns have come on board, Town of Huntington, Town of Babylon, Town of Brookhaven. And what this does is raise awareness, let people know that, you know, there are people that are struggling, there are people that are in recovery, and it's good to talk about it. You know, there's no shame about it. So this initiative is helping along that goal. And for information on how to participate, we ask you to go to the ISLIP Goes Purple website, at islipgoespurple.com, and check in all month long for all of the ways that you can help us raise awareness for those struggling with addiction and for those in recovery. So with that, we ask you to all enjoy the rest of your summer, and we will proceed to the rest of the meeting. Thank you. This afternoon with our two scheduled public hearings, I'd ask the town clerk to please read the first hearing notice.
Hearing number 1 today is to consider amending the Town of ISLIP Uniform Traffic Code in various fashions.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments on that hearing? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion.
Make a motion that we close the public hearing, offer the resolution for its adoption.
Second.
We have a motion, Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the second hearing notice.
The second hearing today is to consider modifying the ISLIP Town Code, Chapter 35, entitled Noise.
Okay, again, are there any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second?
Second.
Second
That, we
by,
have to close the public hearing.
yes, motion to close.
the public meeting, adopt the resolution.
Okay, and we have a second by Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Okay, that, we will now move on to the regular business of the town board. So we will go to the public portion. Just to remind everybody, we do have a number of cards that have been filled out. Excuse me? Okay, when we get to that. We have a number of cards that have been filled out, and to just remind everybody that you have 3 minutes to address the board. And for those of you who might not be aware, there was a little bit of a protest or demonstration, I would say demonstration, out front earlier this afternoon about the issue of the sloth. So I would ask the town attorney, if you would please, for everyone's benefit, to give us an update on where we are with that issue that seems to have engendered a lot of interest.
Okay. So on July 25th and August 1st, the fire marshal's office was out at the property. They conducted multiple inspections. They issued notices of violation for change of use, for other fire code issues, and also a violation of ISLIP Town Code Chapter 12. They have until August 29th to remedy. If the property is not brought into compliance on that date, the fire marshal's office will go back, will issue appearance tickets, and the property owner will end up in court with the town of Islip.
Okay, so we are addressing it, and I understand that there's a petition too, and certainly we are very empathetic to making sure that animals are treated humanely, so we're certainly not in conflict with what is being brought forth today, and are doing the best that we can within the legal parameters of what we are permitted to do. Yes? That's correct. Okay. Very good. Then let's go to the cards. Our first speaker, and again, to remind everyone, 3 minutes, and this is not a question and answer interrogation. This is just to hear what your issues or concerns or compliments are, and we'll begin with Jim Schlau. Camel.
Touche.
I missed it.
Okay, Jim Slough, 415 Clift, Central Islip. You know, we got censored from the meeting on Channel 18. Very interesting that the town is picking and choosing what the people of Islip should hear. Very strange, I have to say. Don't you think the people of Islip should know what's going on at Central Islip? You know, the cars are still parked all over First Avenue on the sidewalks What if you're handicapped? Where do you go? Brightside Avenue, full of cars on the sidewalk. You know, when I moved here in 68, people wouldn't even dare do that. We wouldn't think of it. It was unthinkable. Now they do it. And you say, well, it takes time to get things done. It didn't take long to tow my brother's car out from front of my house after he died. Not long at all. That car was there, and that car was legal. And it kept other people from parking there like I had the other night on Sunday. I woke up to beer bottles all over the front of the lawn. You know, do you have that going on over there where you are? Of course not. And we had the loud parties again. Strange thing is, when I called the cops this time, it was on Kenwood, Kenmore, and Earl. The cop says, the dispatcher says, what do you got, loud Spanish music over there? I'm making that up. Every single one of these cars is loud music, and it's the Spanish who are doing it. Send them a note in Spanish to tell them that we don't want to hear that. You know, it's blocks away. 16 years of this, you know, 16 years. That's a pretty long time. They don't get the message. The cops come. The cops got better things to do than stop these loud parties, you know. They turn it right back up again. You think that's respectful? You ask me to be respectful. I wouldn't do that. I don't go out in my backyard. I'll bet you nobody on this board goes out in their backyard with 1,000-watt amplifiers and blasts the music till 12:30, 1, 2 in the morning. Of course not. Now, I want you to take a look at this, because code enforcement, it's confusing everybody. I don't know if I'll get any reaction from it, but there's a property here that's in question that's being used as commercial property. That's a big problem. It puts legitimate businesses at a disadvantage when these properties are being used for commercial reasons. This is residential areas that are being used as commercial properties. It's all over the place. So if you have a legitimate business and you have to pay for a piece of property and signage and everything else, you're at a disadvantage with this going on. This is the map. This is the map. See, because code enforcement, I don't think they understand it, because this has been going on for a year. Bye, everybody.
Next speaker, Paulette Orlando. Paulette, if you could just speak into the microphone so we can hear you.
Is that better? Yeah.
Much better, thank you.
Good afternoon, Town Supervisor and Board members. My name is Paulette Orlando, and I am the Community Engagement Specialist working for the Tobacco Action Coalition of Long Island, a program of the American Lung Association. While progress has been made in New York State to lower smoking rates, tobacco use is still one of the leading causes of preventable disease and death in the U.S., and more than 28,000 New York lives are lost each year from smoking-related illness. Exposure to secondhand smoke in outdoor recreational areas can be hazardous. The U.S. Environmental Agency has classified secondhand smoke as a Class A carcinogen, placing it in the same category as radon, benzene, and asbestos. Cigarette butts contain over 165 chemicals, are not biodegradable, and are harmful to the environment. Nearly all cigarette butts are made up of plastic-like cellulose acetate fibers and can take decades to decompose. Within an hour of contact with water, cigarette butts can begin leaching chemicals such as cadmium, lead, and arsenic into the marine environment. Cigarette butts have been found in the stomachs of fish, whales, birds, and other marine animals, leading to ingestion of hazardous chemicals and digestive blockages. Cigarette butts not properly extinguished can cause fires, and at beach cleanups, they are the most usual form of trash found. In addition to the numerous negative environmental effects of tobacco use in outdoor areas, there are also several damaging health effects of outdoor secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke contains more than 7,000 substances, over 70 which are known to cause cancer in humans, and many of which are strong irritants. Even just insignificant amounts of secondhand smoke to a child playing at the beach or the playgrounds can trigger allergies, asthma attacks, and other breathing problems. Because their lungs are smaller, children breathe in 50% more air pollution than adults, making them more susceptible to the dangers associated with tobacco smoke, even if outdoors. A person sitting or standing next to a smoker outdoors can breathe in wisps of smoke that are many times more concentrated than normal background air pollution levels. Secondhand smoke is an asthma trigger and can also have a negative impact on those with respiratory issues. Secondhand e-cigarette emissions are not safe. Both the U.S. Surgeon General and the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine have warned about the risks of inhaling secondhand e-cigarette emissions. In 2016, the Surgeon General concluded that secondhand emissions contain nicotine, ultrafine particles, flavorants such as diacetyl, a chemical linked to serious lung disease, volatile organic compounds such as benzene, which is found in car exhaust, and heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. And the Food and Drug Administration has not found any e-cigarette to be safe and effective in helping smokers quit. Tobacco-free parks, playgrounds, and beaches reverses the normalization of these dangerous products for children and sends a strong message that smoking is bad for our health.
Thank you, Paulette.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Leanne Barty.
Good afternoon. My name is Leanne Barty. I live at 51 East Locust Street, Central Islip. Roberto Clemente was filled with toxic chemicals right under Town Hall's nose, leading to 2 town employees to plead guilty in the scandal, yet the majority of this town board continues the insult to injury. I'm on the clock. Can you start the clock again? Can you start the clock again?
Sure.
Thank you. Ready? Okay. Roberto Clemente Park was filled with toxic chemicals right under Town Hall's nose, leading to 2 town employees to plead guilty in the scandal. Yet the majority of this town board continues the insult to injury. Just last June, the majority of this body had not a penny more to fulfill the promise of a skate park. As usual, you came to us with empty hands. In typical fashion, Ramos had to deliver yet another state grant so that half of the state funds covered by the AG for other projects in the park would not be bankrupted. It is now August, and you suddenly have $350,000 to move for turf fields in Brookwood Hall. No protests, no state grants, no petitions, no protests, no broken-hearted children were necessary. It's not fair that despite being a Town of Islip resident and paying my taxes to the Town of Islip, it's the county and the state that deliver for us time and time again. I wonder what we would be like without them. I can only imagine the shape we'd be in. Shame on you.
Thank you so much, Leanne. Next speaker, Ralph Corsini. Corsini? Corsini. Good afternoon.
So, I've applied for a permit, a special event permit. I don't know if now's the time to just explain.
If you could just restate your name and address for the record.
Ralph Corsini, president of Oker's Oyster Company. I applied for a permit, special events permit, for a mini oyster fest at the Bayshore Marina, located near Benjamin Beach. Should the permit be granted, no closures for any roads or any beach or any boating would be affected. And the event would last for between 4 to 6 hours. The purpose of the event, it's a mini Blue Point oyster event, is to bring back the recognition of the Blue Point oyster that was famous on the Great South Bay in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The name of my company is Jacob Ockers, named after Jacob Ockers. He was the oyster king, back in the day. The proceeds of an event would benefit the Blue Point Oyster Association, an association that I'm starting. The purpose of the association is to bring awareness to the Blue Point oyster, that it has returned to the Great South Bay, and also to support our oyster hatchery, shellfish hatchery, located here in the town of Islip. The concept of the event is local music, local food tasting. It would be a family-style event. No alcohol will be served. If you want to bring your own alcohol, you can. You would be recommended to bring a beach chair and umbrella. It would be a rain or shine event. No seating would be required. It would be purely a mini oyster fest with a couple other foods. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy Cross.
Andy Cross, Bayshore, New York. And once again, I'm here about the NYS real property tax law on my tax bill. This tax has gone up at least the last 5 years with the price of housing, which you connected it to. The price of housing has gone up, and it's supposed to mirror the price of housing. The price of housing has gone up, and the tax is also gone up, as high as 41%. I mean, what's going on? The price of housing has gone up at least 5 years, and where's all this extra money going? Because you can't be holding hearings for houses for people on their taxes when the price of housing has gone up. It doesn't make sense. So where's all this extra money going? I was told that my whole neighborhood was going to be repaved. Now, after talking to the highway department, only 3 or 4 blocks is going to be done. So what's going on? Last year, I was told the whole neighborhood was going to be done like you did in West Islip. There was 3 different neighborhoods done twice. Ours hasn't been done at all. And I think it was maybe 3 times that it's been done in West Islip. Is this fair? Why are we treated like second-hand citizens? Is this the new Islip town where the roads in West Islip have whole neighborhoods repaved and the roads in Bayshore not done at all in 30 years? What's going on? And do I get another 33 minutes because everybody seems to be writing? Is anybody listening? Nobody listening? Do you have anything to say about that? I got 37 seconds left. Should I wait here for an answer? Why is it when I call the town or read something about the town, it's a complete lie? I mean, you said you were talking to the commissioners and you're holding the line on taxes. One commissioner didn't get the memo. So how could you say that you're holding the line on taxes when the taxes went up? Anybody got any clue?
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Just a reminder, we can't control the school taxes. Next speaker, Julie Hausman.
I was talking about town taxes.
Julie Hausman.
Hello. I'm Julie Hausman. I live in Smithtown. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys, and I just wanted to urge you to please consider closing down the sloth encounter that is at that where vets meets. Speak up. I feel like I'm too loud. I'm sorry. The sloth
There's
encounter.
some chatter in the audience. That's why we're having a hard time hearing
Oh,
you.
okay,
So
and
we
the
just
air
ask
conditioning
everyone to
too.
please respect the speaker.
Okay. Ask you to close down the sloth encounter. I don't know how much you guys know about it or if you've had an opportunity to be in there. I did get in there about a month ago and saw the conditions inside. I can tell you that it is not appropriate for a sloth. They are very sensitive creatures. The gentleman that runs the place, if we're going to call him that, immediately when I walked in, told me to lean forward, put a pouch around my neck. It had a little tiny baby sloth in it. Did not tell me he was going to do that. The baby sloth was then reaching for foliage that is artificial foliage, which would be natural for him to eat and be amongst, and instead it's fake plants, and they're having a teenage staff feed him little scraps of vegetables and stuff. Additionally, the space is no natural light, no ability to have fresh air. He put, when I came in, he was like, oh, it's the best surround ever. When I walked in, he put humidifiers on, and I could tell that up in the corners of the room, there are cat carriers where these sloths are typically, and he opened them up when I went in to see them. This gentleman is very well known in the animal care advocacy community as being a person who is not safe to be in the possession of such animals. I also am a volunteer at Star Foundation, which is a wildlife rehab center that's very well respected out in Middle Island. I can tell you that I've seen firsthand what happens to animals when they're in this kind of condition and then end up either being surrendered or they are confiscated. And they really suffer quite a bit from not being allowed to be in their natural habitat. So again, I know you guys have the fire code stuff going, and I really appreciate that. But if we could look at the animal, safety and humanity piece, that would be awesome. And a lot of people wanted to be here, but it's a really tough time of day. I had to take off from 2 jobs to be here. So there are a lot more people that actually feel this way as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for coming from Smithtown. We thank you for your advocacy, but I don't know if you came in late or not, but the town attorney did address where we are. We are addressing the issue, are very empathetic, and are doing all that we possibly can. Next speaker, and there are a number of speakers who have signed up to talk about this particular issue, and we just ask that you not be repetitive. Next is John D. Leonardo.
Thank you. My name is John DiLeonardo. I am an anthrozoologist, wildlife rehabilitator, and president of Humane Long Island, Long Island's leading animal advocacy organization. Sensitive, solitary, and nocturnal sloths, including a vulnerable baby, are being subjected to grabbing hands, noisy crowds, and ramshackle cages by notorious animal exploiter Larry Wallach at Sloth Encounters in Hauppauge, in apparent violation of the township's ban on possessing wild animals. I am urging that you take immediate action to shut his business down. Since opening, Sloth Encounters has been cited for several public health hazards, including operating a petting zoo without a permit in violation of Suffolk County Sanitary Code, change of use without a permit, lack of fire extinguishers, lack of carbon monoxide detectors, for electoral hazards, and possessing wild animals in violation of ISLIP code. These are just the latest of a long history of charges tied to Wallach, including animal mistreatment. Just last year, the U.S. Department of Agriculture cited Wallach after finding a sloth in his cluttered garage with hazards in and around the animal's enclosure that could injure the animal by burning, broken glass, or electrical shock. The agency also cited a roadside zoo in Ohio after a tip that Wallach, holding an electric prod and accompanied by a dog, entered the cage of a young tiger he had dumped there after she outgrew the dilapidated cage that he had kept her in under the deck of his Nassau County residence. The USDA also recently cited Wallach for an incident in which he took an unrestrained tiger cub to a public park and allowed the public to pet and handle the animal. A tip last year about Facebook Live videos, one of which depicted Wallach electroshocking a baby tiger named Sheba and threatening a dog with an electric prod, resulted in a slew of citations, including a critical citation for failure to follow veterinary instructions for treatment of Sheba's broken toe, and further citations for confining her to an enclosure in disrepair that had broken floorboards and putting her and a wolf at risk of injury by allowing them to interact in a dangerous manner. Wallach's sordid history goes back decades, culminating in at least 50 federal citations and a USDA license suspension, an untold number of violations of Hempstead's ban on harboring wild animals, and the DEC apparently deciding recently not to renew Wallach's permit to keep dangerous animals following his chronic, blatant disregard for the law. With a lynx and an alligator also being recovered in ISLIP in the past 2 weeks, it's never been clearer that ISLIP has a captive wildlife problem. Please send a strong message to those harboring and exploiting wild animals in ISLIP by enforcing ISLIP's ban on wild animal possession and shutting down Sloth Encounters immediately. I know the town attorney did address some of this, but I would urge you guys not to give him any more time and to shut it down as soon as possible, because he is in active violation right now of ISLIP's ban, both on possessing animals and and protecting the public from any interaction with them.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Emily Carreras.
Hi. I'm a part of the animal advocates with, I'm sorry, Emily Correas, 380 Front Street. Well, do you mean the town or? Okay. Can
I'm sorry, you're going to have to speak right into the microphone. It's hard to hear you.
you hear me? Hempstead.
Oh, Hempstead.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So I am part of the Advocates for Animals. This is my first time hearing about it. It really breaks my heart how things like this exist. So I'm hoping my speech will at least touch people's heart to actually care for animals. I'm 19 years old. I've been an advocate for PETA, other animal advocates that bring justice to animals, animal liberation. When I heard about sloths being in cages, the horrible confinements, it really just honestly, like, there are way more worse things happening in the world. For example, dogs. What I'm trying to say, there's like more hopeful things going on in the world, but this right now, I believe, should be stopped. There have been incidents where people have been bitten, complaining about it, and they still want to keep this sloth entertainment or whatever it's called on, and I believe it should be shut down, just like with SeaWorld, but they're like just... I just believe that this sloth entertainment, or so-called, should just be shut down. I know you guys said you've been working on it, and I'm just basically what I just want to say is that I hope you guys can look into your hearts and say, we want this shut down immediately. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. Karen Stratcher. Karen Lynn Stratcher.
Hi, my name is Karen Lynn Stracker. I live in Merrick. I am a New York State licensed wildlife rehabilitator. I'm 54 years old. I've been working with wildlife since I was 17. What this gentleman, and I use the term loosely, is doing with these animals is abhorrent. He is using an animal that is generally docile to exploit, to make money for himself. These animals are solitary, they are shy, and any animal, when provoked, can become dangerous. There is an animal there that is a mother watching her baby be passed around. That animal can be dangerous. If that animal harms somebody, bites them, scratches them, who's going to be held accountable? The animal. The animal is going to be the one that suffers. The animal is going to be punished. It's not the animal's fault. This animal is put into a situation that it has no control over. And it's going to face the consequences. He is exploiting these animals for profit. He has no skill. He has nothing that he can do personally to earn himself a living. Why doesn't he go out and do something where he works to make a living, not use some other person, another being, to earn money for himself? Let him work, not put an animal to work for him. This is really wrong, and these animals are nocturnal. They are being kept awake. They sleep normally 20 hours a day. They are being kept awake. Can you imagine if somebody came into your home and all night long turned the lights on? Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. We're going to pick you up and pass you from person to person to person. Every single night. What would that do to your mind? What would that do to your well-being, to your stress level? This is torture for these creatures. It is unacceptable. Why are you allowing these animals that have feelings, that have emotions, to be tortured under your watch? It's just not right. And you have the power to stop it. So please stop it. Thank you.
Next speaker, Juliana D. Leonardo.
Hello.
Ribbon.
My name is Juliana D. Leonardo. I am a wildlife rehabilitator and Vice President of Humane Long Island. The FBI has well documented the link between animal exploitation and human cruelty. So I was not surprised when my husband told me that he received a threatening call from Wallach himself when he began inquiring about Sloth Encounter's business. Posing as a Newsday reporter to try to find out where we live, Wallach apparently screamed, "You effing dweeb, I'm coming for you," when his ruse did not work. Since then, Wallach was raked in tens of thousands of dollars while we've been forced to file a police report and install cameras to protect ourselves and our animals. What was Larry so afraid of us finding out? Was it that he was in violation of several county and town codes? He's been cited for several since this call. Was it that we might hear from former employees? We've heard from several of those too, including Denise Flores, a former employee of Wallach's now deceased business partner Sam Maloza, who alleges that she caught Wallach drugging lion and tiger cubs for cub petting encounters when they worked together at the Midway Mall in Ohio. Was it that we might find out he's on video electroshocking a tiger cub and threatening a dog with an electric prod? We already knew about that. Or was it that he was afraid we would hear about the patrons who would certainly be injured? We've received complaints about not one, but two of those so far. One of a child allegedly bitten on July 24th, and another of a man allegedly bitten this past Friday, August 5th. How many more injuries could there be that we don't know about? Possessing wild animals is illegal in ISLIP, and for good reason. While animals are not pets and they are not ours for entertainment, treating them as such is cruel and teaches children all the wrong lessons. Lessons that harden their hearts towards humans and animals alike. Please shut down Sloth Encounters and send a strong message to our children that animal exploitation has no place in ISLIP.
Thank you, Juliana. Next speaker, Yuki Endo. Yuki Endo. Okay, thank you.
My name is Yuki Endo, representing Passengers United and FDNY Christmas Party Performer. I'm from Jackson Heights, Queens, and I'm against wildlife sloth exploitation exhibit. Wildlife animals are not for exhibition, and I do not support Long Island Game Zoo. Little off topic, but I also do not support Connect Long Island's Suffolk County Transit's buses Reimagine Transit. Thanks, Yuki.
Next speaker, Roberta Snyder Brennan.
The sloths have to be free so they can live their journey. Difficulty is no good. Set the sloths free. And the world will be a better place. Thank you for listening for me talk. Have a good day.
Thank you, Roberta. Well, that is a lovely way to end the public portion. There are no other speakers. Do I have a motion to close the public portion? I don't have a card. What is your name? Did you fill out a card? No, there's no card here. Are you here to speak about the same issue? All right, you need to fill out a card quickly. All right, why don't you just come up, give us your name and address, and then you can fill out the card when you're done. This will be the only exception.
So much for making the exception for me. My name is Irene Ippolito. I live in Valley Stream, New York. And I want to talk about zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are diseases of human beings, infectious diseases, that are caused by pathogens and viruses jumping from animals to humans. Most diseases in humans are zoonotic, but there's a rise in zoonotic diseases in the last few decades. Monkeypox, COVID, Ebola, HIV, swine flu are all zoonotic diseases. The United Nations, in their 2020 report, talked about the rise of zoonotic diseases and the danger. In the wake of COVID, we know the suffering and pain and economic disruption that is caused when diseases jump from animals to humans. We're living through it now. The United Nations says that the exploitation of wildlife and the destruction of their habitat are one of the main causes of zoonotic diseases. So please take a look at the UN report. Please consider the danger of what could happen if one of those animals who are kept in a cage, who are not treated well, who get sick, and what happens if they bite a child? Or fleas jump from the animal to the human, and we have yet another zoonotic disease. We have to stop exploiting animals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And a motion to close the public portion. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second.
Second.
By Councilman Cochran. All those in favor, opposed. The public portion is closed, and we will move now to the agenda. The first item on the agenda this afternoon is a meeting of the Town of ISLIP Industrial Development Agency. I'll call for a motion for the board to convene. Motion by
Motion.
Councilman